Hello, welcome back to the garden. Today I'm just at home in my woodland and I'm underneath the shade of a lovely hazel tree here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how and why you need to make liquid fertilizer from your weeds before you put them in the compost bin. Before I get into showing you how quick and easy it is to make the weed fertilizer, I want to give you a little bit of a background on why I think it's such a good idea to make a fertilizer with your weeds before you put them on the compost heap. And that is because for me, in my garden, I use plastic Daleks as my composting system, which means they're anywhere from 220 to 330 litres. And when you add all of your green waste and your brown waste to these kind of lower capacity bins, it doesn't get very hot. So it's kind of classed as a cold composting system, rather than having a really massive heat that gets turned all the time and gets really, really hot. The system I use means you just keep adding bits and pieces, don't really turn it, not much oxygen gets added as you go along, and it takes a lot longer to compost down. I really like using the system, but the one downside to this is when you put something like this in, okay, this is a dock leaf, okay, it's got some seeds on the top and it's got some root on the bottom. Now, a dock leaf is a perennial plant, so if I go and put this on the compost heap, it is very kind of likely that quite a lot of this could still stay intact through that cold composting system, especially the seeds. They're not really going to compost down, and the roots probably would compost down, but there's a potential that a little bit of this could stay alive. And then when it comes to having the lovely compost at the end of that process, I put it out all over my garden, over my vegetable patch, and in a kind of couple of weeks I'm going to end up with 1,000 of these dock leaves growing all over the place. And if you have a quick look inside you know, this little bowl here, I've got a number of different weeds that grow in my garden. Another reason why it's such a great idea to make a fertilizer from things like this dock leaf, we're obviously eliminating the seed element, but if you've ever tried to take up a dock or any other kind of pernicious weed, we know that the root system is massive. And usually, I mean, this is quite a young plant here. This is quite a young dock here, but some of them, I swear, go down to the centre of the earth, which means this dock leaf is searching kind of into the depths of the earth to get as much nutrients as it can, you know, so it can grow and be really healthy, which means I'm going to be able to kind of harbour quite a lot of the nutrition from this too, which means when we make a plant feed like this, it's going to be so good and so nutritious for a lot of the plants. Now, I quite often in the past have bought in kind of fertilizers. They come in plastic bottles and they can be quite expensive, and this is the perfect way to have something that's really healthy for your plants, but also is going to be a lot more environmentally friendly. So now we're going to get on to seeing how easy it is to make a weed fertilizer. So the first thing you need to do is find yourself a bucket that you're not using. I use an old brewing bucket back from the wine brewing days, and it's about 30 litres, I think. It's got a lid and it's got a tap on, so I absolutely love it. But you can use any kind of, you know, container you want, but this is perfect for me. And I have even seen people using full-on massive bins for this, but you know, this little 30 litre bucket is perfect for me. All I need to do is fill that up with weeds. You know, every time I'm weeding, you know, if I just get a few weeds, I can chuck them in and slowly fill that bin up. And I am quite good really and try and kind of push it down as much as I can until that bucket is absolutely full and as full as it can go. Then I just put it somewhere kind of in the shade and fill it up with as much water as I can. Usually I try and do rainwater if I can, just because rainwater is completely zero from any chemicals. It will help your little brew start off a lot easier, but it will also mean it doesn't cost you anything either. So once that is filled, all you need to do is put the lid on, forget about it for a couple of weeks, a month or so, and then you can see here, if we look on about 6 months after I actually made my last lot of weed fertilizer, it becomes absolutely putrid, okay? And honestly, it absolutely stings. So all you need to do then is just harvest the liquid off as and when you need it. Sometimes I do kind of keep topping it up over time, and about once every 6 months or so, I do empty it, because it does get pretty manky and I kind of feel that I've had all the nutrients out of it. Just chuck it straight onto the compost heap, and as you can see on that compost heap, it is pretty wet and pretty disgusting really. So you might find you want to let it dry out in the sunlight before you add it to your compost heap. But it's really weird, because when I actually made my last batch, it was pretty much just lots of weed tops, and there wasn't very much kind of roots added in there, or kind of soil and stuff on the roots. So I was actually quite surprised when I emptied it to see how much kind of soil was on there. So whether it just had kind of really composted down in the water, I don't know, but there you go. That is why you need to make a lovely weed fertilizer. I now know that I'm putting this on my compost heap. It's still got loads of nutrients in, but I'm not going to be contaminating my compost heaps with loads of weed seeds and the perennial weed roots and things like that that can then carry on growing in your compost, which will then contaminate it. So there you go, that is how quick and easy it is to make a weed fertilizer in your garden. I'm no scientist, I don't know the exact chemical makeup of every single batch I use, whereas if I was to buy in, you know, a special feed, it's going to tell me on the back of the packet, you know, all the different elements and minerals that are in there and how amazing it is. But for something that I'm able then just to add to my plants as I'm growing them, it's great to add to your soil because it just helps feed all of those microbes in there. You know, it's just such a brilliant idea. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching today's video. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, please do hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of all of my latest videos. As ever, YouTube have some videos up now on the screen that they think you'll like, so please go ahead and watch those, and I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye!